The electrification dilemma. Why are EVs abandoned in China? The electrification of the automotive industry has brought about many fascinating phenomena, and the so-called EV graveyards in China are among the most intriguing. Each major city in China has at least one of these eerie sites, where numerous electric vehicles, EVs, are left to decay slowly. According to some estimates, millions of EVs are rotting away in China. But why is this happening? Here are 5 reasons that might explain this puzzling situation. When you look at these EV graveyards, certain patterns emerge. These electric cars usually have license plates indicating they were once registered, and they are often painted the same color and consist of just a few models. This suggests they were purchased by car-sharing companies. Indeed, car-sharing companies were the first major customers of EVs when they were a new concept. The government, eager to spur industry growth, provided substantial subsidies to these companies. As a result, car-sharing fleets became integral to the initial boom of the EV market. However, this rapid growth came at a cost. When the government stopped the generous incentives, many of these companies went out of business. Without the funds to renew their fleets, these early EVs quickly became outdated and practically unusable. Is this the fate that awaits all pioneering industries, where rapid growth is followed by a dramatic fall? No one is entirely blameless in this scenario. While authorities used car-sharing companies to boost EV growth, EV startups also capitalized on the generous incentives. The Chinese government was determined to dominate the EV market, providing massive support to nearly every EV company. With low criteria for subsidies, many startups flourished briefly. But was this sustainable? Once the industry was on firmer ground, the government reduced its support. Many EV startups, built on unsustainable business models, couldn't survive. Their vehicles, barely driven and quickly outdated, ended up in the so-called EV graveyards. Could it be that the initial success of these companies was merely an illusion, propped up by temporary government support? Today, China is not just the largest EV maker in the world, but also the biggest EV market, with nearly 9 million electric cars sold last year. This growth wouldn't have been possible without adequate infrastructure. However, creating a sustainable EV system requires a robust charging network, which in turn needs a sufficient number of electric cars to be profitable. It's a classic chicken and egg situation. The Chinese government had to make a strategic sacrifice, using car-sharing companies to boost the process. This led to a well-developed infrastructure in many cities, where taxi companies now rely mostly on EVs. But was this sacrifice worth it? Could there have been a more sustainable way to achieve this growth without creating graveyards of abandoned cars? Another reason for the growing EV graveyards is the high cost of repairs. While electric cars are often touted as simpler and cheaper to run, the reality in China is different. With many EV companies out of business, there's a lack of spare parts and trained technicians. Repairing an EV can be so expensive that owners often find it cheaper to buy a new one. This isn't just a Chinese issue. In the US, there are junkyards full of Tesla models, indicating that owners prefer to replace rather than repair. Does this point to a fundamental flaw in the EV industry's promise of lower running costs? Finally, the problem of market oversaturation looms large. Despite being the largest EV maker, China hasn't expanded significantly into Western markets. Domestic sales dominate, but even China's vast market has its limits. Recent moves by Western governments, like Biden's 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, complicate matters further. With production capacities far exceeding domestic sales, EVs are piling up unsold. This isn't unique to China. Similar scenarios are unfolding globally, with Tesla storing unsold cars in old mall parking lots in the US. Is the EV market growing too fast for its own good? And what about the environmental impact of these abandoned cars, which are supposed to be more eco-friendly but require high emissions to produce? As we ponder these questions, it becomes clear that the path to electrification is fraught with challenges. Can the industry find a balance between growth and sustainability, Or will these graveyards become a permanent fixture of the EV landscape? Only time will tell. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.